When Tim saved this dog, he didn't know she would bring something amazing. Lots of people watched it more than 8 million times on TikTok. Tim and his wife, Sarah, had a simple and happy life. They liked small things like sunny days after rain, the smell of fresh bread, and waking up together every morning. They weren't rich, but they were comfortable. Sarah worked from home as a freelancer, and Tim worked in a factory. He had worked there for 5 years, and everything was fine until a new boss named Derek took over. Derek seemed determined to make life difficult for some of the employees. Unfortunately, Tim ended up on Derek's bad list. Derek gave Tim more work and was never happy with what he did. Sometimes Derek even made Tim work on weekends and stay very late at the office. When Tim finally got home, he was very tired and didn't have much time to talk to his wife. One night, Tim told his wife that Derek was nice to everyone else but treated him very rudely. His wife advised him, "Always make sure to do things that make you happy." Sarah's birthday was coming up, and it was on a Friday. Normally, they celebrated birthdays with dinner dates, a tradition they had since they got married. But with the new boss, Tim was worried their plans might get messed up. 2 weeks before her birthday, Sarah asked him to promise that he wouldn't miss their date for anything. Tim promised, "Nothing will stop us from going out that evening." A week before the birthday, Tim went to the HR office and asked for permission to leave early on Friday. Tim had never made such requests, so the HR happily granted this one. "Work ends at 4 p.m. You can leave by 3 p.m., she said to an excited Tim. That Friday, Tim got to work earlier than usual and did all the paperwork. By 3:30 p.m., he sent the last batch of emails. He then packed his bag and was ready to leave, but a knock suddenly came on the door. It was Derek. Immediately, Tim saw him. He knew there was trouble. Without a care in the world, Derek told him the secretary wasn't around, hence he needed to stand in for him during a meeting by 5:30 that evening. Tim was dumbstruck. He wanted to explain he had been granted permission to leave early, but he couldn't even get the words out of his mouth. However, what Derek said next made him throw all caution away. "You need to be at that meeting. If not, you could kiss your promotion goodbye. You have to put work over everything." "Not over my family," Tim blurted out. It was the first time in years anything ever made him that angry. At this point, he was done with the extreme demands, and he was also fed up with his unappreciative boss. So he said, "You know what? I quit," then stormed out of the room. Fortunately, this decision soon led to something beautiful. Tim made it on time for the dinner date, and it was only after they returned he told his wife he had quit his job. Of course, she gave him her full support. Over the next few weeks, Tim applied for several jobs, and he eventually got one in a mining company. It was here that he met his animal friend, Sadie Kate, a wonderful dog that went to extreme lengths to prove how much she loved her owner. On Tim's first day at work, he had just driven into the parking lot when a dog ran towards him and began wagging her tail. It was Sadie Kate. She even started pulling Tim's trousers as if she wanted him to play with her. I just assumed she must be a really friendly dog, and maybe this is how she welcomed strangers, Tim explained. Well, he soon realized how wrong he was. As Tim walked into the office area, Sadie continued following him. "Hey, good girl, you can't go in there. I will see you later, okay?" Tim said lovingly while patting the dog's head. This sweet creature then ran back to her favorite spot in the parking lot. After the close of the day, Tim went to the parking area, but Sadie wasn't there, so he thought her owner had taken her home. Tim was almost out of the gate when Sadie suddenly burst out of an abandoned building and ran off to his truck. He then hooted his horn, waved at the dog, and drove off. When this man got home, he told his wife about the friendly dog, and Sarah asked Tim to take some pictures of the dog the next day. "Let me see the sweet dog that is driving you so crazy," she teased. When Tim got to work the next day, he didn't find Sadie in the parking lot. So during the work break, he bought some sausages and went to the parking lot, hoping to find his new friend there. Luckily, Sadie was there. Immediately she spotted him. She ran towards him and just started licking his feet. Tim then gave her the sausage, and she ate happily. While she was eating, Tim brought out his phone, took some pictures, and forwarded them to his wife. Immediately, Sarah saw the dog, and she fell in love with her. Her owner must be so lucky, Sarah said, and Tim agreed. Neither of them knew that Sadie didn't have a family or friends. Over the next few days, Tim and Sadie became closer. During Tim's breaks at work, they would go for walks together. Sadie quickly figured out when it was break time and waited for Tim near his office. It was during this time that Tim started to suspect Sadie might not have a home, so he asked some people at work. A coworker then told him that Sadie had been around for about 6 months, and no one had come to look for her. Tim felt really sad when he heard this, and he couldn't bear to leave Sadie behind anymore. That evening when Tim was leaving, Sadie came out to say goodbye as usual. "Would you go with me?" Tim said with tears welling in his eyes. Sadie was such a sweet dog, and she didn't deserve to live on the streets. Interestingly, it seems Sadie had also decided to go with Tim. So when Tim opened the door, she just jumped into the truck. On the way home, both of them were very excited. Tim even played music and danced while Sadie wagged her tail. It was a lovely moment, but what happened when they got home was even more amazing. Sarah warmly welcomed Sadie and gave her a nice bath. They quickly formed a bond, but something scary happened the next day. About 30 minutes after Tim left for work, Sadie ran out of the house and sat in the driveway. Sarah got really worried and thought Sadie didn't like the house and wanted to leave. She brought Sadie back inside, but the dog was restless until Tim came home from work. When Sadie saw her owner, she got really excited and happy. Sarah then shared everything that had happened during the day with him. "Maybe he needs some time. Just be sure to keep him inside," Tim advised his wife. They would soon both be moved to tears when they found out the true reason behind Sadie's behavior. The following day, Sadie rushed out of the house and sat in the driveway. Sarah brought her back inside, but she forgot to lock the doors. Surprisingly, this oversight led to a wonderful discovery. That evening, as soon as Sadie heard Tim's truck, she darted out of the house to welcome him. This made Sarah suspect that Sadie was going outside to wait for Tim, not because she wanted to leave. To confirm her suspicion, the next day when Sadie ran to the driveway, Sarah didn't bring her back inside. This dog waited for more than 8 hours. Finally, in the evening, Sadie saw Tim's truck coming, and she jumped up with excitement. She was so happy and ran to greet her human friend. When they found out why Sadie waited for Tim in the driveway, they became emotional and shed tears. It was a beautiful way for her to show her love for the person who provided her with a home. Sarah eventually captured one of these heartwarming moments and shared it on TikTok. The video has now been viewed over 8 million times. Sadie still waits for Tim in the driveway whenever he's away. When it rains, she goes into the garage but keeps watching the road, hoping to see her dear friend return at any moment. What are your thoughts on this dog's affection for its owner? Feel free to share in the comments below. Thank you.